Tonight, the demolition continues. Explosives bring down another part of the old Port Augusta power station. And a natural wonder lights up the sea off the west coast.
This is Southern Cross News with Tim Hatfield.
Good evening, but first tonight, in the hopes of solving two of the state's most baffling child murders, South Australian police are offering $1 million reward to anyone with information that leads to arrests. The cold cases include 11-month-old Port Lincoln boy Dylan Lindsay, who was found dead after suffering serious injuries in 2004. Jason Kemp has more details.
It was a horrific crime that shook the Port Lincoln community back in 2004. Over a decade on, and police are still uncertain who killed baby Dylan, but they're hopeful a new $1 million reward will spark new information. This is the face of a child who fell victim to a heinous, but as of yet unsolved crime. Dylan Lindsay was just 11 months old when he was found dead inside a Port Lincoln home in 2004. Dylan was left in the care of friends by his mother, who at the time was battling with drug and alcohol abuse. Along with his sister and 3 other children, the kids stayed at the house on Ellen Street, which was occupied by a number of adults. Police say sometime during the night, something abhorrent occurred. Dylan receiving vicious assault wounds to his stomach. The killer then attempted to cover up the bruising, drawing texture on Dylan's body to try and disguise the marks. Early the next morning, an adult who was staying at the house noticed Dylan unresponsive and rushed to nearby neighbours to seek emergency assistance. Port Lincoln police then made 2 arrests in connection with Dylan's death, but the case was later dropped due to insufficient evidence. Now a reward of $1 million is being offered to try and find his killer. Police have also offered the same reward in hope of finding the killer of Lily Shattini, who was found unconscious in a home in Adelaide's north in 2010. Police believe they know who the killer is, but have not been able to make a conviction. Major crime detectives are certain someone is keeping valuable information and hopes rewards in long-running cold cases like Dylan Lindsay and Susan Goodwin will finally bring some justice.
A man has died after crashing his quad bike 80 kilometres west of Broken Hill, just inside the SA border. Police were called to the Wampenny station near Coburn just before 11 o'clock last night after the 37-year-old man crashed while riding on the property. Police from Yunta have investigated the crash and will prepare a report for the coroner. The death won't be added to the road toll because it was on private property. The race to own Arium's Australian operations has taken another twist with reports that Liberty House has upped their bid. The Financial Review is reporting the British firm is making a revised proposal in a last-ditch attempt. Korean firm POSCO was named as the preferred bidder last Thursday, but still has to negotiate with KordaMentha and the state and federal governments on a number of conditions. But the report also states that POSCO is looking for extra payments over 5 years while it modernises the Whyalla steelworks. In contrast, Liberty's new proposal reportedly highlights its track records of rejuvenating troubled assets and the limited conditions it's asking for. Negotiations with POSCO are continuing. And securing the future of Arium, along with improvements in health, is the top of Eddie Hughes' state budget wish list. Neighbouring MP Dan Van Hulst-Pellekan also wants more investment in regional South Australia, while our business community is looking for help to diversify the economy.
Thursday's state budget is the last before the election, and the government has a fistful of dollars to spend. Giles MP Eddie Hughes is looking for some to flow to hospitals in Kimba and Quorn, along with more dialysis beds for Whyalla.
The need has expanded, so we now need more dialysis beds in Whyalla, so people do not have to travel.
And locking in Arium's future in Whyalla is also a key priority of Mr Hughes.
It's about securing the future of Whyalla, but it also helps the state and the national interest.
While Whyalla looks forward, Port Augusta is still reeling from the closure of the power station. Dan Van Hulst-Pellekan says support, similar to what Adelaide's northern suburbs are getting in the wake of Holden's closure, is needed.
We've seen nothing like that support coming into the north of South Australia to support us through the closure of the power station and the loss of many other jobs.
He says supporting an upgrade of the notorious Yorkeys Crossing and Strzelecki track could be that economic boost for both the city and the nation.
Of course this supports Port Augusta, but perhaps more importantly, it actually enhances our national freight task.
And with Defence expanding its presence in the region, business wants the government to help them gain a slice of the action.
So we'd be looking for the government of the day to look at the projects that we can get on board with very easily and service from this region.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Flinders Power conducted more demolition at the former Alinta Power Station site in Port Augusta over the weekend. A coal conveyor section known as Tower G and other structures alongside it were charge-filled at around 8 a.m. on Saturday morning. The company says the demolition went to plan and that low easterly winds prevented the spread of dust outside the site. Flinders Power says it will conduct more demolitions in September and in April of next year. A 16-year-old Broken Hill girl has been charged with assault after she allegedly kicked police while being arrested yesterday. The girl was part of a group of 5 people who had allegedly assaulted and abused a man and a boy at a shopping centre on Gosson Street prior to the arrest. The girl was also charged with shoplifting and resisting arrest and will appear in the Children's Court. Police are continuing with investigations and any witnesses are being urged to come forward. Well, stay with us. Still to come in tonight's local news. Port Pirie's Sports Hub set to feature seating from SA's footy history. The details ahead. Welcome back. The new Sports Hub in Port Pirie will use seats from Adelaide's iconic footy park. The Grandstand and Function Centre will use the seats to provide extra space for spectators.
Embracing the football culture, Port Pirie Council has purchased 1,400 seats from Footy Park. Keeping history alive, the seats will be spread around the oval to ensure ultimate viewing opportunities for spectators.
By the time the project's completed, we'll have over 2,000 viewing seats around the oval, including the existing grandstand, the new facility and other seats around.
Many of the seats from the now obsolete oval were only refurbished in the years prior to games moving to Adelaide Oval.
The seats are still in reasonably good condition and give that bit of historical resemblance to Football Park.
The seats will enable everyone to easily move about the grandstand and function centre.
These are a lot better seat. They're a bucket seat, retractable and a lot more comfortable, and it allows us to have gaps in between the banks of seats for wheelchair access.
Seat instalment will be one of the last parts of the upgrade after the fence has been built to deter any vandalism or accidental damages.
Seats will be installed once all the civil works are done and the oval's finished and the turf is laid, which is expected to be around August, September next year.
Port Pirie Council is also looking to purchase other equipment from Footy Park to add to the new stadium, and it stresses that the recent rate increase is not due to the upgrades on the sports precinct. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Multiple drink driving arrests over the weekend have forced Port Lincoln Police to again urge the public not to drink and drive. A woman was arrested on Saturday night after blowing nearly 5 times the legal limit. The 51-year-old was pulled over for driving erratically on the Lincoln Highway. She then underwent a breath test, recording a blood alcohol reading of .235. The woman was immediately disqualified from driving and her car was impounded. Meantime, a Port Lincoln man blew double the legal limit after patrols stopped him on the same day. The 41-year-old blew a reading of .101 and was issued with a 6-month loss of licence. Both will appear in the Port Lincoln Magistrates Court at a later date. Broken Hill is on track for one of its driest Junes on record, with no rain falling so far this month. The Silver City is well below the monthly average rainfall for this time of year, and it's the same story across the Spencer Gulf.
Forget dry July, Broken Hill is having a dry June.
To the 19th of June, we've had 0 millimetres of rain in Broken Hill. So compared to the June average, which is around 16 millimetres, very dry.
Forecasters say Broken Hill saw 10 millimetres fall in June last year, but that was towards the end of the month. Although there is a slight chance of showers this weekend, Broken Hill is still on track to match a nearly 60-year-old record.
The driest June on record in 1958 also had 0 millimetres of rain for the month. However, that year in 1958 did get 323 millimetres. So despite a very dry June, it was still around above average rainfall for Broken Hill.
And it's not looking good across the Spencer Gulf.
So currently, Port Pirie, Whyalla, Port Lincoln, around 0.2 millimetres of rain recorded for this June. Port Augusta, slightly more, but not much, 0.8 millimetres. Now, in comparison to the June averages across those areas, the June average is around 30 to 60 millimetres.
Port Lincoln's driest June is only back in 2011, but 43 millimetres fell that month. And if rain doesn't fall in Whyalla anytime soon, the Steel City will see its driest June since 1947. Patrick Roinke, Southern Cross News.
A volunteer-run op shop in Wilmington has received statewide recognition for its significant contribution to the community. The Beautiful Valley Op Shop received the award after contributing nearly $40,000 back into the town.
What's one person's trash is another person's treasure, and this Wilmington op shop has been recognised in the state for its community contribution. The Wilmington Progress Society nominated the shop for the award.
Well, it was the fact that the op shop have contributed so much to our local community with funding for various projects, and they've been going for 3 years, and I thought that they deserve some recognition.
The Beautiful Valley Op Shop has contributed nearly $40,000 for the community.
So it was a statewide award, and I'm really pleased that they won because they deserve the recognition and acknowledgement of the great work they do.
Run by the state government's Volunteers Office, the Andamuka Community Project Award recognises projects of significant community benefit. Op Shop manager Helen says the award belongs to the town.
I believe is the winner is the whole community, because everybody in the town has rallied, donate things, they get family and friends to bring things.
Unlike many places in town, the shop is open 7 days a week, and Helen says it invites visitors to stay longer.
And tourists think it's a wonderful idea and will often give us donations because they can see that all the money's going back into the town.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Oh, stay with us. When we return after the break, a natural wonder lights up the sea off the west coast. The details ahead. Welcome back. Well, you'd be forgiven for thinking this next bit of vision was straight out of the latest Avatar movie. But Port Lincoln was treated to a light show of a different kind last night. Mother Nature turning the night ocean into a brilliant display of glowing blue. The bioluminescence in Proper Bay was caused by billions of single-celled algae, more commonly known as sea sparkles. They flash when they're disturbed, and it lights up the ocean with an electric display of jet blue. Scientists believe the flashing mechanism is deployed to scare off predators. Residents of Tulka marvelled in the phenomenon, splashing around to create an unforgettable glow.
When you pick it up, it dribbles through your fingers, and whenever it lands on something, it glows, and just little splatters of bright glue, I suppose.
Isn't that specky? Well, Port Pirie's community garden is hoping to bloom some new green thumbs. An afternoon of gardening discussion will be held in the Port Pirie Library next week.
The community garden is flourishing with the help from volunteers. Locals with a passion for gardening gather here for Tuesday twilight to keep the garden alive. And members of the community garden are free to come and go as they please.
The Port Pirie Community Garden is an ideal place for people to come and use the facility. It's free and there's access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
A gardening information session will be held at the Port Pirie Library on Monday, July 3 to educate people about how to grow a plant successfully.
Basically information on how a plant grows and what it needs to grow.
The session will cover plant biology and allow participants to ask questions.
Some of the things they may not know about what the plant needs.
The information session is free of charge, however bookings are essential. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
To sport, and Whyala's Ben Pengelly will mix it with the best junior cricketers in the country for the next 3 months after securing a spot in the National Performance Squad. He'll spend the time at the National Cricket Academy in Brisbane, following in the steps of some of our all-time greats.
The National Cricket Centre has been delivering great cricketers for over 30 years, including current Test opener Matt Renshaw and the King of Spin, Shane Warne.
And he's done it.
While as Ben Pengelly is aiming to follow their path after his selection in the 18-man national performance squad.
Oh, it's a great opportunity to come up and sort of spend 3 months with a new bunch of blokes all around the same age or with the same goal. So
Ben played for Rapina in Whyalla before being snapped up by the prestigious Adelaide Cricket Club. He was selected after his performances for SA Country at the Junior Country Championships, where he was named player of the tournament, and he's got his sights on playing state and international cricket.
Yeah, just taking each step at a time, working hard every opportunity I get, and then if that comes along, perfect. If not, keep working towards it.
His key focus this week will be batting towards spin bowling, with 25 of the best young spinners to put him through his paces.
Pretty focused on making sure we have three options against spin, so sweep shot, staying back in your crease, and also coming down the wicket, so it's been a pretty big focus.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Well, local footy returned to Broken Hill in a big way on the weekend with a Carlton legend lining up for Norths. AFL Hall of Famer Anthony Koutoufides donned the blue and white for the Bulldogs for a one-off game against the Roos. Patrick Reinke joins us now from Broken Hill. Pat, there was a big turnout for this top-of-the-table clash.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. Well over 1,000 people converged on the Jubilee Oval on Saturday as North and South battled it out for top spot. The game was close from start to finish, but it was South just prevailing by 12 points. Some soccer skills from Luke Jones drew first blood for North, but South fired right back with one of their own. That was the story for most of the day, with the lead changing multiple times. South was just a bit more accurate. Marcus Purcell and Jordan Johns were two top-flight midfielders for the Roos, with the pair seeing the ball far too often. Michael Wesley had the Sharon on a string in defence, with North unable to stop his bounce off the half-back line. But all eyes were on King Cooter, who managed to show glimpses of his greatness when he took possession. His kicking boots must have been left in the change rooms though, the 278 gamer shanking a couple of shots on goal, including this one in the first quarter. Despite that, he said he enjoyed his time in the Silver City.
It was fantastic. Look, I had a great time. I know the boys are really keen to win the game, and unfortunately they didn't, but the game was played in great spirit. The boys were fantastic on both teams, and I've just had such a wonderful time here.
South's 2-goal win now puts them at the top of the table. Heading around the other leagues now and in Port Lincoln, Tasman outclassed Boston, Mallee Park thumped Lincoln South, and way back down Marble Range. There were 3 big wins in the Spencer Golf League, with South Augusta, Prop Risdon and Solly all on song. Into the Steel City, and it was West doing it comfortably over Central, while South had no problem getting past Wiruna. And North just edged out Rupina to win by 10. Into the York Peninsula now, and it was Ardrossan and Central York recording strong wins. The Crows maintained their top spot on the ladder, with victory over Wallaroo, and the Southern Eagles fell to Kadina. And finally, in the northern areas, Southern and Broughton secured solid wins and Crystal Brook took down Orroroo. So, Tim, it might be getting a bit colder as we enter winter, but the footy action is just heating up. And of course, I'll be back to wrap up all the other sports, including a different kind of Broken Hill mountain bike race, tomorrow night.
All right, looking forward to it. Thank you, Pat. Patrick Reinke in Broken Hill there. Will stay with us after the break, a check of how your local weather is panning out for the week ahead. Welcome back. Turning to the weather now. No signs of rain today. 19 the top in Port Augusta and in Port Pirie. Whyalla with 18 and Port Lincoln on 20. Broken Hill also fine on 18 degrees. On the national satellite, cloud cover is moving towards us due to be with us later in the week. But until then, it's looking fairly clear. Out on the Gulf waters, the winds to 10 knots and variable. The seas below a metre and mainly to the south. The sunrise at 24 minutes past 7, so getting later and later. Looking at another sunny and mainly clear day tomorrow. Port Augusta and Whyalla both expecting 20. The same down the road in Port Lincoln. Port Pirie on 19 degrees with a sunny 18 in Broken Hill. Then for the rest of the week, sunny skies with maybe some showers on Friday. 19 and 20 for Wednesday and Thursday in Port Lincoln. Much the same around Cleve. Woodner with 20 and 21. Whyalla with 19 both days, then a cloudy end to the week, 20 in Port Augusta and similar conditions. Kadina with 18 both days. Port Pirie heading to 19 both Wednesday and Thursday, then 20 degrees for Friday. Clare with 16 all week and also possible showers by Friday. And Broken Hill sunny and 18 for Wednesday and for Thursday as well. And that is the local news for this Monday evening. Hope you had a great weekend. Don't forget, as always, you can stay up to date with us and get in touch online. We'll see you back here tomorrow night from 6:30. I'm Tim Hatfield. Have a good evening. Good night.